Martini, a commercial pilot and flight instructor.
And I'm Carson Vasquez. I'm a private pilot.
And you're listening to the Aviation Mentors podcast, sponsored by Stratus Financial.
So buckle up, because the Aviation Mentors are taking off.
Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Aviation Mentors podcast. Today, we actually have an awesome special guest with us today. He's actually on the podcast with us one other time, and that is my great friend, Mike Harris, with the Why We Fly podcast. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, doing great, guys, man. We're having a good time at Oshkosh. Beautiful blue sky, air shows going on. We're having a fun time.
Yeah, we're listening to lots of airplane noise. That's always fun. I mean, Mike's got a pretty good view of this air show, by the way. His booth just faces it, so I'm a little envious of him with us in the back in the corner in the Stratus booth. We don't get to see any of this.
Yeah, and we've actually got shade too. So we did an outdoor booth. So I'm with Forge Flight Works, a Garmin dealer and aircraft interior company out of Nashville, Tennessee, at Smyrna Airport. And this year was our first Sun and Fun at a booth. We had an indoor booth, and this is our first Oshkosh as a company. We did an outdoor booth, and we rented this awesome trailer that has a fold-out front patio and then an awning that comes off of it. And we, through our contacts at Garmin, because we got a spot right next to Garmin, and Garmin is right on Boeing Plaza, literally right across from Boeing. So we are just right off of Boeing Plaza. It's incredible, and and we're facing towards the flight line. So we got a nice patio with a covered awning and some chairs and shade umbrella out there, and we just get to watch the airplanes and talk about avionics and aircraft interiors. It's been a real tough week.
I can imagine it has. I'm really jealous. There's no better place for an avionics shop to have a booth. But anytime I want to get away from the booth, and as far as I can get is the restroom, you guys can get all the way to Warbirds, and that's my favorite place. So.
Yeah, and what I told the guys at the start of the week, whenever you leave the booth, just go walk through Boeing Plaza. I mean, we're just behind Garmin's 10, and then you're there. And it changes every day. Actually, today, earlier in the week, we had the Super Guppy was out there. I've never seen one of those. I think it was insane. Yeah, the Beluga, the Dream Lifter, all these crazy, huge, custom-made cargo planes out there. And then today, the B-29 Doc and the Constellation are out there. And
is Connie here?
Yeah, it's right. It's right with B-29 and Doc, and they're right there on Boeing Plaza. Plus a Super Galaxy and a bunch of other cargo planes. I mean, the whole plaza is full of C-130, all kinds, DC-3, all kinds of cool stuff out there. And it changes as the week progresses, which is really cool. So, yeah, every time I walk out of the booth, I just, doesn't matter which direction I'm actually headed, I'll kind of zigzag through Boeing Plaza to see what's there today.
Absolutely. I love going through Boeing Plaza. And you're right. They have something new every single day. But they had the Super Guppy here for 2 days straight. Yeah. Carson and I, since we were in the media tent getting our badges the other day, they actually gave us a private tour with only media there.
Oh, cool.
And then the next day, Flying Magazine actually put out this giant article on all the questions that got asked. But we got some pretty cool pictures, so we'll probably post those up of our tour of the Super Guppy, which was kind of neat, having a private tour of the Super Guppy. And I thought there was only one Super Guppy, by the way. There was a ton of Super Guppies, and that one was actually born in like 1981 or something, compared to the rest that came from the 60s. But they still look like a 40s airplane. It was crazy looking inside.
Yeah, and they had the front open and the back open too. But it's just crazy how the whole cockpit is on a hinge, and it flips to the side and sits there like it's just the whole front nose cut off and it opens up. It's nuts. But it's pretty cool.
Well, it's crazy. Everyone was talking to the pilot, and I actually snuck away. I was talking to the crew while everyone was talking to the pilot. I was like, hey, how long does it take to crack this thing open? So it takes like a team of 4 guys 45 minutes to unscrew and unbolt everything in order for it to swing open.
Yeah, that's actually quicker than I figured. I mean, but yeah, when I noticed that the nose part that opens up, it's got its own gear. It's got its own wheel that it sits on to keep the weight on it. So yeah, to hold the weight while it's opened up. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they have to put a tail stand on it too, actually. Yeah, as they said, it takes 45 minutes because you got to put the tail stand down. You have to put the little nose gear thing that rolls around on the side as well. And then they said that there's no hydraulics or anything. It's all linkage. So they actually have to disconnect all the flight controls every single time.
Jeez.
I can't imagine having to do that. And they better have really, really good checklist and checks and balances on that, because I can't imagine unhooking all of the aircraft linkages to the elevator and the ailerons every single time you open that thing up, which is going to be every time you land, pretty much.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I saw it put back together and then taxiing out when it was leaving, I guess, the other day.
Did you get to see it take off?
No, I didn't. I was back over here and didn't see it take off. But
yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah.
But we do have. We're behind We're behind his booth right now, and we can see the air show like perfectly. I'm really jealous we're not out here, but and there's some shade, which is really, really good.
Yeah, which is much needed. Yesterday was really hot. Today's been pretty pleasant, but it's supposed to be even better, be a little bit cooler next couple of days. So, but overall, we've had some storms come through. Nothing too crazy, but definitely some rain. Been a good week. We, hopefully I think people have been staying safe, and but it's a little bit of severe weather. That's kind of always normal. Oshkosh in July always have some stuff come through over the course of the week, but we're staying in an RV in the Sleepy Hollow campground, which has been fantastic. So it rained this morning, and I didn't even wake up. Evidently we got like an inch and a half of rain. I was like, it was a little bit wet, but this morning, but otherwise I didn't really notice.
I was actually going to ask you about that next. I was going to say I've never stayed in Sleepy Hollow. I know they've got like a bar restaurant there that I've been to a couple times last year. How is Sleepy Hollow? I mean, does it have a different vibe than Camp Scholler, or how is that?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's about the same kind of vibe. It feels about the same as being in Scholler, but they have a lot more hookups. And actually, I've been through Scholler, and they're getting a lot more hookups too for power and water. So that's really cool. The downside when you don't have that, that's when an RV or a camper, that's when it's a much more of a pain. But yeah, that's what I was looking forward to being there, and it's nice, it's good, and they have this huge pond, man-made pond with like inflatable like jungle gym things for kids to play on. And yesterday was our hottest day, and we had a couple happy hours right after we closed the booth. We were getting back over there, and it was 6 o'clock or 6:30. It was still hot as could be.
Tell me you went in.
We were just looking at the pond. We're like, yeah, it's time. So we immediately changed into bathing suits, took our cooler beer, and got straight in the pond, all three of us, and it felt amazing. I was afraid it was going to feel like bath water. No, it was cool. Like by the time we got out and like the sun had dropped down a little bit, like dare I say, like we were almost chilled. Like it felt so good. So we sat in the pond drinking beer for like an hour. It was awesome.
Can you invite us next time? Because that's where I want to be. Probably tonight, because it's supposed to be 92 until like 7 p.m. here.
Yeah, I was going to say thanks, Mike, for the invite. I really appreciate it. After all the cool stuff, that good seat I got you at the night air show. No, I really appreciate the invite.
You guys, we had just left y'all. Y'all were heading somewhere else cool.
I know.
Had a prior engagement.
Yeah, I screwed up, and I RSVP'd for the Cirrus party on Tuesday rather than Thursday. I mean, TH on the phone, right? And I just wasn't paying attention working. And I show up, and they're like, oh, you registered the wrong day. We're sold out. And they just wouldn't even let us in. I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
But other than that, we hung out at the camp last night and just had a good time. And then we went out and stayed out too late, and then the storm came in, and we got stuck at the place we went to. So that was always an interesting thing.
Yeah. We just cooled off the pond, had some beers, and called kind of an early night. Because this gets tiring. I mean, Oshkosh is a lot of fun. But it's a lot of energy and effort, and especially as hot as it gets, you're sweating, and then when you're working the booth, I mean, all day, it's a lot. I mean, it's no place I'd rather be, but it's also kind of wears you down over the week, So once or twice, getting to bed a little bit earlier, not staying up, until 12:30 at the SOS Bros beer tent is a good thing every once in a while to try to make it the rest of the way through the week, because. I left home last Friday. Like, it's been a full week now that I've been gone, and we still have, several more nights. It's awesome. So much fun. But yeah, especially this is my first time in Oshkosh working a booth. In the years past, especially when I had my travel trailer with air, I could crank up the generator and the AC, and like I could sleep in or take a nap or whatever. Now, like I'm like working full time too, and doing all the social stuff at night. So. It's awesome. It's fun. Wouldn't have it any other way, but yeah, it is different when I have a full day of work to do, plus all the fun stuff I want to do every evening too. So,
by the way, that airplane sound are 4 P-51 Mustangs just flying by us. So it's like $10 million just flew right in front of us. An amazing aircraft.
Yep. But we're definitely glad we came. Like as a company, it's been a really good show for us. Much more productive business wise than Sun and Fun. Sun and Fun was good, but Oshkosh has been really good. We've had a lot of people coming through that are serious and ready to make decisions on avionics upgrades. We came here with 6 dates for installation windows that we wanted to fill, and as of the end of the day yesterday, we had filled 4 of our 6 dates. So we feel really good about that, and we've got half a dozen other customers that are very serious and very close to moving forward on the avionics side, but also on interiors too. We're doing right now a Baron full interior, and it's actually left our hangar and gone to get paint, and then it's coming back to get the interior reinstalled, the new interior reinstalled soon. And so we have one of the seats out of the Baron, and it is absolutely gorgeous. We're all so proud of it. So the design, it's beautiful. Looks just so executive. It's got the Beechcraft logo actually like laser engraved into the leather. It's just so pretty.
It looks super cool.
Yeah, so we have that sitting right up front. So people are walking by and they see that and they just do a double take and come right over and check it out. So we've had a lot of people interested in the interior side coming in. So that's been very good, and we have a lot of interior projects already coming up. We're doing the Baron and the Mooney right now, and then next we're starting a Cheyenne. We actually just started on Cheyenne, so that's a big interior project. And then we have another PA32. We did a Saratoga before. We got another PA32. I think a Lance after the Cheyenne, and then we got a couple Bonanzas that seem like they want to get on the schedule next. So yeah, it's cool stuff. Really, really neat interiors, and a lot of interest that. We're very much the premium, handcrafted, custom design interior shop. We're not there's kits and do-it-yourself kind of interiors and lower cost ways to do like a 172 or PA28. And we certainly do work on those aircraft if people want, a super high-end interior. But it's more the 6-seat aircraft, not a different price point of aircraft is kind of the premium interiors we're putting in. But it's exciting because it just makes the airplane just go from 40-year-old to looking brand new and having that like new airplane smell, and it's really, really cool. So we're excited about all of that going on there.
Well, I can imagine when people are getting a new interior, they also want the new avionics. So what are people really looking for as far as avionics, especially with Garmin?
Yeah, so so some people will do the avionics and then just live with the old interior, but what our specialty is we can do them both at the same time. So like the Baron is already that we're doing the interior on, already has a lot of avionics in it, but then there was kind of a handful of avionics things he wanted done too. He wanted moving antennas and things like that. The Mooney, nice. We're doing the full interior on the Mooney, and he's going ahead and replacing he's got the Garmin GNS 530. We're putting in a GTN 750 XI and a remote audio panel. So he's upgrading and is avionics at the same time, same block of downtime, which is very cool. But but we also have people coming in and doing a full avionics, new panel, and everything, and with G3X or GTN 750, 650s, and then the smaller Garmin GPSs are really popular as well. The GPS 175 and the other GNC 355 and GNX 375. So it's all kind of different because everybody's plane's always in a different place, right? And then everybody's budget's different. So some people are coming in and say, hey, I've got a 430 and I'm happy with it, but I really want to get a couple GI 275s and remove my vacuum system and put in a GSC 500 autopilot. That's an incredible amount of capability for $25,000 to $35,000, like depending on the options they choose. And then that's like a hard IFR airplane with glass instruments now, even still keeping your legacy GNS 430, and you can replace your 430 in a few years, whatever. So that's a popular upgrade for lower budget point. And then people coming in when they want G3X full glass panel or G500 and on larger airplanes, things like that. So and then 750s and 650s. It all depends because people are in a different place. They have a different priority. Sometimes it's just a couple components here and there. Sometimes it's a full panel. It all depends. And we also do Dynon and Aspen and Avidyne, but a lot of what we do is Garmin, and it's exciting. I mean, it just really, really changed the airplane. And what's cool to me, is you can change the airplane for $30,000. Like you can really change the airplane. Put in an autopilot in a plane that's never had an autopilot. Put in digital instruments. Remove the vacuum system.
By the way, you can hear those simulated bombs going off in the background. That's a World War II bombers going by doing simulating bombing runs.
B-25 is going by, right?
Yeah, doesn't suck our view.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
To kind of go back to the camping situation, I got a question now. We met through Oshkosh in the Why We Fly podcast originally. Oh, there's some more of those bombs. Isn't that so cool? It gives me shivers thinking about it. I could not be on the ground in World War II and hear that going off.
Well, then they have these huge plumes of smoke as well. It's not just the sound. It's so cool watching it all happen.
Yeah, and when they do the big warbird stuff and they have a whole squadron of aircraft flying in formation, and we see these 15, 20 or more airplanes all together. Back then, it was just the sky was just covered in aircraft. It just would have been absolutely insane. I honestly think Oshkosh is the only place in the world you can ever even get a feel for this these days for what the scale of that would have looked like. You look at the old combat footage and stuff, and you see just mind blowing how many aircraft are in the air. And Oshkosh, to me, is the only place where you see. It's a fraction of the number, but it's a lot of World War II aircraft up there flying in formation, and you start to get a sense of what it must have been like.
Yeah, I've seen 40 or 50 like T-28s and T-6s.
And with bombers on higher runs and different levels and layers and all, they put a lot of warbirds up in the air flying formation. It's really, really impressive.
It is. Yeah, but what I was saying, we met here, or met through Oshkosh through the podcast originally, or your podcast originally, and then I came out and I recorded a couple episodes. That was the first time I came to Oshkosh. Yeah. And I was kind of reporting for you, which was a lot of fun, which I think we talked about in that episode out of Sun and Fun. But after you came here the following year, I think that was your first year, and that was my second year. We finally met in person. We both camped under the wings for those several years. I mean, I just barely started coming to Camp Scholler a couple years ago, but I camped under the wing most years that I've been here so far. What do you think the differences are between Camp Scholler and camping under the wing, besides obviously having air conditioning and a toilet in your own?
Well. To me, the biggest difference that is the experience of flying in, right? Like flying yourself into Oshkosh is a bucket list thing that I just feel like every pilot should do. I mean, it is an incredible experience.
Even Carson, by the way.
Yeah. learning the procedures, getting in the approach and ripping and Fisk and coming in. It's just incredible. It's just an experience that everybody should do. And I did that 3 or 4 times. So the flying in part is amazing. Obviously getting here from Nashville, Tennessee by airplane is much better than driving. So that part is incredible. The downside is being in a tent for 7 or 8 nights, and we always have weather come through. And I had a couple different tents over the years that I used at Sun and Fun and Oshkosh, and I like camping, but that's just a lot of days in the tent. And inevitably it gets wet, or I ended up buying a smaller tent that could hold up to the weather. It would not get wet no matter what, but it was tiny. It was a little 2-man tent, which is really just a 1-person tent, and you can't even stand up in it. And so it's hot. So after 7 or 8 days of that, you're just outdoors 100% of the time, no air conditioning, sleeping on a cot in a tent, and that wore on me. And honestly, the flight home was then kind of an exhausting proposition, because then I've still got a 6-hour cross country back, in my little tri-pacer to get back home. And I'm 7 nights exhausted of camping and just the Oshkosh in general. So that was definitely tiring, getting home and all that. Being in a camper trailer is so much better. And then now stepping it up again, having one that's hooked into power so we can actually run the air conditioning overnight. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I would never, there's a lot of people that go stay in a hotel, they drive in, they get a house or whatever. Like, I would 100 times rather be in an RV, especially as long with power that I can run the AC, because I just want to be here. Like, big part of the experience for me is being here 24/7. I don't want to leave. I don't ever leave. I pulled in Friday night. I haven't left yet. We're leaving to go to a Garmin dinner tonight. It's the first time I've even left the grounds. It's just being immersed in aviation, being surrounded by aviation people. Everybody wants to talk about airplanes all the time, and I just want to be here on the grounds and just be going around doing social things every night. Like, that's the only way I want to do Oshkosh. I would never, even 15 minutes away, I would never even want to do that. I want to be right here in it all the time. And if I'm sitting around camp at 8 o'clock at night and say, hey, let's walk down to the flight line. Yeah, let's walk down the flight line. Like, why wouldn't we? If we want to. Like, that's awesome.
Well, you can't do that anywhere else. That's the thing. Like, you get to just be enveloped in the experience. And, like you said, I felt a little bit spoiled actually being able to have the hookups and the AC and the water all the time.
Yeah. From day one.
From day one of last year, yeah. Maddie wanted to fly in next year. I was like, hey, just so you know, you're not going to have all that.
Right.
Unless we steal Brandon's camper. But it's such a fun experience being around everyone that has something huge in common. And it's a pretty defining part of who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big part of the experience to me is just being here 24/7, having a good time. So I love it. It's awesome.
And I have to agree with Mike. The best part about being at Oshkosh is being at Oshkosh the entire time. I left for the first time yesterday just because we needed to go to Target to get more beverages for everybody.
Yeah, we're doing that tonight.
So that was literally the only reason why we left, and I didn't want to. But they've got showers here. They've got everything that you can stay clean and be happy, and you can go straight over to camp if you want to go relax for a little bit. Obviously, we're working all day long, so we're not getting to do that this year as much. But when you come out here for fun, you can just step away, like Mike said. And they've been having stole competitions at night. I haven't been there this year.
I haven't made it over there yet. Yeah, need to.
So, But you know what? I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for listening tonight or today. It's getting closer tonight for us. It's only 3:40, but when you're here for this long, you kind of lose track of time. I think it's Friday. I'm not even sure anymore.
It's getting real close to beer 30.
Exactly. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Mike. Really appreciate you being on the podcast with us, like always.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's been awesome, and I'm sorry I missed your first episode together, so I'm glad I'm here for the second one.
Absolutely, no worries. And anybody that wants to listen to my podcast, I've got 79 episodes published now. It's whywefly.org. It's in all the normal podcast places at Why We Fly. And if you want to talk avionics or aircraft interiors, it's forgeflightworks.com. And you can look at our website and call the office, or my email is mike.harris@forgeflightworks.com. Be happy to help anybody that has any needs.
Sounds good. Well, thanks again, Mike, for being on. As always, if you want to reach out to either Carson or I, you can find Carson at aviationmentors.com, or you can reach me at brandon@aviationmentors.com. Thanks so much. Have a great day. See ya.
See you guys.